Is my audio working? I'm just gonna assume so. Alright. Yeah, there we go. I actually hear stuff. I was having so many audio issues last week. What a pain. Alright, let's get into things. Oh, is there a big run this week? Okay, monthly challenge. Oh, the season ends tomorrow. Oh, I kind of completely forgot about that. I know there's a drizzle season coming up sometime in the next, like, few days. Alright, so we're not making it past A rank this season. It's been an awful season for me, honestly. So tonight I would say tonight will hopefully be a short show. The only real we got one rumor, one bit of actual news, like, hey, something actually happened. And then we've got a WIBE, I got a videos game to talk about, I guess 2 technically. It's not much. And then I saw Moana 2. So we're gonna talk about Moana 2. And that's basically it. I don't have much outside of that. You know, there are 2 droughts for gaming news. The end of the year, basically from, you know, the Game Awards to, like, January. Like, late January. And then in July. Those tend to be, having done this show for 5 seasons, over the course of, what, 8 years? Have I been doing the show 8 years? No, maybe 6. 6 seems like a correct amount. Yeah, 5 seasons over 6 years, I can believe that. Having done this show long enough, I know when the droughts are. Now, usually the drought doesn't start until the Game Awards next week, or in 2 weeks, which is why we at least have a story, but it's not much. I'll be honest, it's just the Devolver Digital Awards for their best delayed games. So, yeah, we don't really have much to talk about this week. So we're going to sit back, relax, play some Splatoon, drink some lemonade, because I have some cherry lemonade that is okay. Like, I'll be honest, it's nothing amazing. Like, it's better than plain lemonade, but it's nothing amazing. And yeah. So I guess let's get into our first news story. So, as we get closer and closer to the new year, when it came to the Switch 2, I was very much an October gang. I believed that the Switch 2 was going to get revealed in October, and that just didn't happen. That just for any number of reasons. The most likely one being that Nintendo's trying to squeeze every ounce out of the holiday season that they can. But, you know, for any number of reasons, the Switch 2 didn't get revealed in October. So, of course, now all the rumors are saying that, oh no, actually the Switch 2 is going to be revealed in January. And there was a new rumor this week that said that, yes, the Switch 2 is going to be revealed in January. To look forward to that, hey, the Switch 2 is right around the corner. So, of course, there's a lot of expectations and thoughts on that. And, you know, I think a release date in January, you know what, that's fine. That part of today's rumor, this week's rumor, I guess, that doesn't surprise me. Switch 2 release date in January, yeah, okay. That's kind of, you know, after October gang was October, January just kind of became the next default, because it wasn't going to happen in November, and it was definitely not going to happen in December. Nothing happens in December except for the Game Awards. Which, even the Game Awards, usually the Game Awards are like the first week of December. This week, I think they're the second. They're later than usual. But okay, so the first part of the rumor being that, hey, the Switch 2 gets revealed in January, doesn't surprise me at all. Fully expect that. The second part of the rumor, though, which is more interesting, I guess, is claiming that the console is going to be released in March. Yeah, they're gonna supposedly, allegedly, release the console in March, which that gives you a 3-month window between announcement and release. That is unheard of. I cannot think of a single other console that has done that short of a window. Even shit like Google Stadia had months in between its reveal and its release. This is the part of the rumor I don't believe. The fact that this thing might release in March, I do not believe it for a second. Because, now, the argument that's backing up this rumor, besides for, all the alleged leakers and whatnot, is the fact that Nintendo wanted to get one last holiday season out of the Switch. This holiday, right, this 2024 holiday season, they want as many people as possible to buy the Switch. And so that's why they didn't reveal the Switch 2, is because, Nintendo fears that by revealing the Switch 2, it will cannibalize current sales of the Nintendo Switch. So just out of precaution, if anything else. That's the reason they didn't reveal the Switch 2. Because if it wasn't for that, right, like if the Switch was selling a little better or maybe a little worse, probably a little worse, they would have just revealed it. Because, there's always talks about like, well, people aren't going to buy an old console when they know the new console is right around the corner. And like, yeah, I see that argument, but I also know, even with the knowledge that like, hey, we know the Switch 2 is coming, today is Black Friday, right? What used to be the American national holiday where we go out to stores and murder each other to buy a cheap TV. That is no longer that because, capitalism says that sales shouldn't actually be sales anymore. Yeah, capitalism ruins everything, even Bloodsport. There's a good story in there somewheres about how not just capitalism is a cause for Bloodsport, but capitalism itself ruins the Bloodsport. There's a good story in there somewheres. Like the Hunger Games, but way less fucked up. So, right, the idea is that, hey, there's all these people who, even though, the Switch 2 is coming out, who know about the Switch 2, there's still plenty of people who are buying a Switch, right? I've seen people all throughout today who have posted like, hey, I bought my first ever Switch, and then they bought like Mario Kart and Tears of the Kingdom and Animal Crossing, all because those games were anywhere from like 20 to 50% off. So yeah, you know what? I guess on that aspect, that's working. I mean, I think a Switch OLED with Mario Kart was $270. That's not, honestly, for what the Switch gives you, that's not terrible. I could totally understand someone buying that, especially someone who doesn't own a Switch, who now, at the end of its lifespan, can get a system filled with games, because there are easily 100 great games on the Switch that I could recommend. I mean, we made a list a few weeks ago that, well, that's a bunch of games from different consoles. There are easily 100 games on Switch worth recommending. No, we are not making that list tonight. I'm not doing another spur-of-the-moment thing. We're not naming every Pokemon. So yeah, I get that. So on that's probably the main reason why Nintendo didn't reveal the Switch 2. Is because they don't want to mess with the Switch's current sales, and instead just want people to go out and buy a Switch, and then next year they can worry about buying a Switch 2. Right, that'll be next year's problem. That'll be March's problem. I understand that reasoning. That logic makes sense. I see how the math's there. But it really sucks. All these speculations, all these rumors, I'm so tired of them. And I know, oh, well, it's your fault for talking about them every week. And you know what? I mean, touche. fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me a third time, what the fuck you doing, man? Like, come on. So that's the idea. They don't want to cannibalize sales. So I guess the idea then is that the Switch 2 was originally supposed to be revealed back in October with a release date of March, but instead they pushed the reveal date till January, and yet they're going to keep that March release date. I just don't see it. I don't care what these leakers are saying. I just don't think it's possible. A 3-month reveal to launch? I mean, allegedly, behind the scenes, Nintendo had planned for this console to release, like, right now. Like, it was supposed to... Originally, it was supposed to release, like, 6 months ago. But then they delayed it until holiday this year. And then they delayed it again until, you know, early next year. So, in theory, they've had a bunch of extra time, allegedly, to, you know, make a bunch of these consoles. Because Nintendo said their plan to deal with scalpers is just to make a bunch of them. And in theory, with, like, multiple delays, which, you know, could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. We'll just have to kind of wait and see. They have time to, you know, make a bunch of these things, make a bunch of games. I mean, we've seen several leaks already, some of which are very credible, if not completely real. Definitely there are some elements that are totally real. That, you know, I 100% believe. So it's one of those things where it's like, well, we'll just have to kind of wait and see. But I think it is theoretically possible, right? They could do a 3-month thing. They just announce it, turn around, and release it, you know. If they've built up a games library, especially when a lot of those games are coming out on both systems. You know the one problem with it releasing in March, though? Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Currently, Xenoblade Chronicles X, excuse me. Xenoblade Chronicles X is currently scheduled for release in March. And unless that is releasing on both systems, which is totally possible, by the way, that's totally up within the realm of possibility, I wouldn't think they would put out a new Switch game, especially one that we know about, the same month as they revealed a new system. Unless, of course, they're putting out 2 games in March. A Switch 2 exclusive game, and a Switch, and, you know, a game that's on both systems. Which just doesn't seem reasonable. Like, Nintendo, that's not real. I mean, Nintendo has done that in the past, where they've put out 2 games in the same month. But that happens so few and far in between, that I honestly think Xenoblade Chronicles, just the existence of that game alone, X, kind of rules out March as a release date. Now, that doesn't mean, that totally means they could do it in April. That totally means that, yes, April is a totally plausible release date, because we don't know anything about that. I wouldn't say February. I feel March to February, that's way too soon. I mean, you know what does this a lot, actually? iPhones. Don't iPhones usually release and reveal like this? Where they reveal the new iPhone and then it releases like a few days later? Or a few weeks later, or something like that? I feel like those have a quick turnaround. So maybe that's the strategy they're going for? I mean, the Switch is nothing like a phone. And, you know, phones work on yearly upgrade cycles, whereas consoles don't, at least not at the moment. You definitely know some companies, Sony, want it to work like that. But currently, that's not how anything works. So, yeah, the January part of this rumor, I 100% believe. I totally think the January part of this rumor is totally within the realm of possibility. Oops. I totally think that's possible. But the other part, I just don't see it. I just don't see a March release. I don't think we have an official date or any. I don't think the rumor came with an official date. It was just this quick turnaround. Alright, okay, let me see. So it was, hello, this is from, I think, Family Boards. Hello, I have some information coming from a source that has been correct about information since 2020. They leaked the Switch OLED, they leaked Mario & Luigi Brothership, they leaked the August Indie World, in the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase and its contents. Here's their information regarding the Ounce, which is the codename for the Switch 2. The Ounce will be announced in January 2025 and release in March. Pokemon Home will be on Ounce, but it will have a different host and developer. Instead of Grand Oak in the Nintendo Switch version, here's the code to see who's the character, and will be hint to the next Pokemon main series game after Gaia and its DLC. And I guess the code mounts out to something like Bianca, you know, the rival from Black and White and the Pokemon Professor's Assistant from Black and White 2. Supposedly she's coming back. We'll see about that. But yeah, that's the rumor. January release date, March release, or reveal. January reveal, March release. I just don't see it. I think that's way too quick a turnaround. Nintendo usually at a minimum does 6 months. Unless they're like shadow dropping a small game, you know, something like Good Job or Kirby Balls, there are very few occasions where Nintendo doesn't at least give a minimum of 6 months hype. Now, of course, they can do anything, right? If Nintendo makes weird Nintendo decisions all the time. If they decide that 3 months is enough time for them, okay, sure. Now, if this was a few years, if Reggie was still in charge at Nintendo, or still had some influence at Nintendo, I would say it's totally possible they revealed the Switch at the Game Awards. Because to be fair, the Xbox Series X was revealed at the Game Awards. That is something that did happen, much less everyone forget about it. Yeah, the Xbox Series X was revealed at the Game Awards. So in theory, there's nothing that says the Switch 2 couldn't be revealed at the Game Awards. But since Reggie left Nintendo, Nintendo has had almost no presence at the Game Awards. They've done a few ads and that's about it. They have not done a single reveal since then. So no, obviously that's not going to happen. I don't think anyone thinks that's going to happen. But I mean, December to March is a little better. But I just, honestly, I think the big killing point for me here is Xenoblade. Everything else, I think, is possible in a weird, wacky Nintendo world, which Nintendo does live in weird, wacky Nintendo world. But that Xenoblade thing, I think, kills it. So maybe April. I mean, there were, again, just a few weeks ago, we talked about a rumor where this console had supposedly been delayed until November of next year. Again, a console that has never been announced, but has supposedly internally gone several delays, got another delay until November. That was a rumor like a month or two ago. And that wouldn't surprise me, and guess what? This doesn't surprise me here. So yeah, that's the January rumor. It's sadly exactly what I expected. You know, I just wish they'd reveal the stupid thing and we could just move on. But nope, we still gotta wait. And obviously we're gonna have to wait until January. Like, at a minimum, nothing gets revealed before that. I've been in this game too long. I know how this works. I mean, to be fair, I've been wrong multiple times. But some things never change. So that's our first story. Our second story, so the one actual presentation we did get is Devolver Digital. Last year, they did a showcase called Devolver Delayed. They basically made fun of Nintendo Directs, but instead of being reveals for new games, it was announcements that currently existing games were being delayed until next year. You know, games including The Plucky Squire, Pepper Grinder, was Angerfoot one of them? Angerfoot. Stick It to the Man one of them? No, maybe Stick It to the Man was this year. It might have been in last year's showcase as well. But right, so Devolver did because Devolver is an indie game publisher. They publish a lot of games, and indie games get delayed very often. So them doing a showcase last year, being like, hey, here's all the games we're making that are being delayed, I think is very fun. I think it's a very fun idea. So, of course, this week, they decided, like, hey, we're going to do another one. And this time, they pivoted it as an award show. So, it was the 15th annual Devolver Delayed. That was the name of the award show. And it had different award show categories. So we're just gonna go through the awards. I'm only gonna talk about the winners. They made up a bunch of fake games as well. So like every category had like 3 fake games and 1 real one. But it's what, you know, it's a Devolver showcase. It's exactly what you'd expect from them. And these are all games that, like, yeah, I kind of expected them to be delayed. The fact that I honestly forgot that Angerfoot even came out this year. Like, I remember Pepper Grinder coming out, and I remember, of course, Plucky Squire coming out. I honestly kind of forgot Angerfoot came out. But what were the actual awards? What won? What got delayed until 2025? The first one was the Best Inadvertent Tripping Simulator, which went to Baby Steps. If you don't know, Baby Steps is the... I used to call it by the wrong name. I used to call it Baby... Did I call it Baby Mode? I think I used to call it Baby Mode. It's a game made by Bennett Foddy. The guy who did, you know, Getting Over It and, like, a bunch of these other Rage games. And though it's a 3D world, and you're, you know, this big baby guy, and you're just kind of, you know, taking your baby steps through this world. You know, you're a NEET who's been, like, isekai'd. And, like, that's the joke. You know, it's going to be a Rage game. I don't know. Those games are always popular on a certain sect of the internet. Not mine. Like, I know recently someone made Getting Over It in VR. It's not called Getting Over It in VR, but it's like this. It's the same idea, basically. Because VR is filled with nothing but rip-offs of pre-existing games. As I have come to learn. And yeah, someone made Getting Over It in VR. So, like, if you want that niche scratched, boom, there you go. But if you want the real, actual thing, you're going to have to wait a while. Do I actually expect anything good from Baby Steps? I don't know. It's a Bennett Foddy game. Literally anything's fucking possible. They've done good stuff in the past. You know, there's a level of artistic merit that I will always give them credit for. Even if I cannot stand games like Getting Over It and... what was the other one? My first thought is Quap, but I don't know if Bennett Foddy did Quap. The next one was Best Late-Stage Capitalism Roguelike. Because, you know, we are at that point where it's, you know, so many indie games are roguelikes. And, you know, late-stage capitalism is the death of us all. Late-stage capitalism is arguably the only reason Game Award shows exist in the first place. Ha ha ha, social commentary. So the best late-stage capitalism roguelike goes to Stick It to the Stickman. This is... It reminds me of, like, one of those games like, oh, what was it called? I actually had no idea this one was a roguelite until they announced it as such. I thought it was more of like a... kind of like a brawler, like, you know, My Friend Pedro or something like that. Or, you know, it's this cool action game that I'm always awful at. I'm always awful at games like these. But from what I understand, right, it's a game where you're a stick man and you're going postal. You're basically going to go kill your boss, and it's the process of you getting there. You know, stick it to the man. So yeah, it's, you know, it doesn't surprise me that this got delayed. But we'll see it next year. They did a In Marcatius? They basically did an In Memoriam. And so their version of an In Memoriam was just a, hey, these are games that released this year. And these are games that are currently on sale. So, you know, one of the things about the Game Awards that the Game Awards kind of figured out eventually is that if you're going to host an award show celebrating the best of games, you should maybe put some of this year's current nominees or previous year winners on your, you know, put them on sale so that way people will play them. And that's something they've actually gotten pretty good at with most of the major retailers. like, when the Game Awards happens, you can go on, like, Steam, the eShop, the PlayStation Store, and see a Game Awards sale. I genuinely think that's a good idea, because that gets you to play, you know, old winners that I wouldn't have played, but hey, they're on sale now. Maybe I'll give them a chance. So this was basically Devolver doing that. Like, hey, these are the games that released this year. Angerfoot, Pepper Grinder, The Plucky Squire. Did you not play any of these games that released this year? Well, here's your chance to go play them. Of which, I honestly don't know if I know nothing about Angerfoot. I don't know if it was good or bad. Pepper Grinder, I heard, was decent. And then Plucky Squire, I heard, was okay. It was a little baby mode, for lack of a better term. Like, it very much held your hand. It didn't really trust the player. But it was okay. So yeah, you know, there's some games, and of course there's a bunch of other Devolver stuff. So we got that. After that, we got the next category was Best Glass Demon in a Leading Role, which was Skate Story, which we found out the developer of Skate Story actually broke their arm, or their hand. They broke something while working on this game. Which is, you know, that if anyone's going to get an excuse for having their game delayed, that's a good reason, I guess. You know, while doing skateboard stuff for their skateboarding game. That's a pretty decent reason. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, Skate Story is one of those ones that looks interesting. I really hope it's like Sayonara Wild Hearts. Because I love Sayonara Wild Hearts. And another game like that, even only like tangentially related, would be really cool. I don't know if we're going to get that, obviously. Like, anything is possible. But I would love another Sayonara Wild Hearts style game. And Skate Story might be that. And then the final award category, the most important one of the night, was the best color version of a monochromatic classic. So, of course, there were a few games nominated. You know, Gato Roboto Color, Minute in Color, Downwell. I think Downwell was the other one. I might have made up the Minute one. I know Gato Roboto and Downwell were nominated. But the eventual winner did go to Volvi's Adventure DX. So this is right, the classic remake of the game Volvi's Adventure. Classic game, remade in color. The project is being overseen by the guy who did Inscription. Okay, Inscription's pretty good. Right, if you don't remember, this game was announced earlier this year at Devolver Digital's E3 showcase, right? This year they did their big memorandum on Volvi's Adventure. So, you know, it makes sense that this would have gotten delayed. I was hopeful for a release this year, but what you gonna do? I mean, masterpieces take their time. And you can't tread lightly with something like Volvi's Adventure. I mean, I get it, right? Like, if you're gonna remake a game better than Final Fantasy VII, you've gotta give it its time. And if anyone's gonna give it its time, it's gonna be Devolver. So I trust them. I trust the guy who created Inscription. And so, you know, it had to be delayed, but it'll come out when it comes out. If it isn't obvious, this is all a joke. This game isn't real. But I do love that they got the Inscription guy, the guy who created Inscription, to come out and be like, wait, what's this game? I didn't make this. That's funny. So that's their award show. You know, it's very much keeping up with what Devolver's been doing these past few years. And you know what? I've said in the past, I respect transparency. When it comes to, you know, capitalism, late-stage capitalism, I can find solace in transparency. Because, you know, a lot of these places will fucking nickel and dime you. They love to keep their secrets. So whenever Devolver gives us a little bit of transparency, admits that, yeah, you know, these games are going to make more time, it's at least better than whatever the fuck's been going on with, like, Yacht Club, where, you know, Mina the Hollower, I'm like 99% sure was supposed to come out this year. And I don't know if they ever... They might have totally, in like one of their Kickstarter announcements, they might have been like, yeah, we're delaying the game. I never saw that. Because I'm like 99% sure that was supposed to come out this year. Same thing with, oh god, what's their name? The Celeste developer. Their new game, Earthgem? Earthglow? Earth... It wasn't called Earthsea. Earthsea's a book and a Miyazaki movie. I can't remember what it's called. What I think it was like... It's not Earthbound. It's not Earthsea. Earthgem? It was something like that. Terra... Whatever, their new game I'm also pretty sure was supposed to come out this year. We got nothing on that. Haunted Chocolatier also kind of got delayed, but at least the developer, Concerned Ape, did come out and say, like, yeah, no, I haven't worked on the game in months. I've been too busy working on the 1.6 update for Stardew. You know, at least they came out and just admitted it. I like transparency. At least I like transparency when I can see it, because again, sometimes, like with Mina the Hollower, I've heard nothing. And let's not even get started on Silk Song, shall we? Let's not even worry about that one. So that's Devolver. They did exactly what was expected of them. Nothing more, nothing less. So I guess that takes us to WIBE. So what have I been playing? Nothing? I'll be honest, I feel like I've got nothing. Like, I had all these plans for this week, and I feel like I've done fucking nothing, man. Like, I was gonna get so much done, because, you know, I had Thanksgiving off, and then I just slept in, and, you know, went, ate some food, then I went back to sleep. I did nothing this week. What a waste. And they go, and the days off go by so fast. Like, I think, like, when you're in, like, middle school and high school, you know, the breaks go by quick, but they at least last longer. The older you get, the faster it goes, and before you know it, they're over. So, yeah, I got nothing done. I played, you know, some Mario and Luigi Brothership. I put a few more hours in. It's a long game. It is a very long game. I met I'm in the third sea. I helped out the new characters, Chilium and Flamber? What was her name? It's not Ember. It's not Cinder. Is it like Flamberge or... It's a fire punt, right? There's this like romantic couple, you know, who have run away, Romeo and Juliet minus the suicide part. And they're, like, on this resort island. And yeah, that was, you know, that stuff's fun. That's good. I mean, I'm enjoying the game. It's just RPGs take a long time. And I'm fucking slow, and I don't have as much time as I'd like. So, I played a little bit of that, you know. I got some stuff done. And then, other than that, the real thing I've been playing this week... So, right now... Balatro is in the conversation. With its nomination at the Game Awards last week, everyone's talking about Balatro. And so I have not been playing Balatro. I have not. Instead, I've been playing the game that inspired Balatro. So for those who don't know, indie games kind of work in waves, where an indie game will become popular, and then a bunch of other developers will try to make, like, their own version of that indie game. The most recent one is Vampire Survivors. Vampire Survivors became super popular, and then it feels like since then, you know, a bunch of different developers have tried to make their own Survivors games. Some are better than others, but you know, this happens all the time. You know, it was originally platformers. then it was Metroidvanias, then it was roguelikes. I mean, the fact that an award show could literally give out an award for a late-stage capitalism roguelike just kind of proves my point. So, right, the Survivors like was the most recent one. But since then, in the past, like, year or so, the one I've seen everyone talking about is, at least more recently, maybe not even the past, it's probably been less than a year. Probably since Balatro, is a game called Luck Be a Landlord. So I first heard about this game back right after Balatro came out. I think someone, I want to say it was Conrad Zimmerman, played Balatro on the Podquisition, and then they went back and played Luck Be a Landlord, which was a game I'd never heard of, and honestly, that's how I heard about both of these games. Right? That's the only reason I think I played Balatro at the time. So that way I wasn't one of the uninformed when the Game Awards happened. So, right, this year I feel like a lot of games have been inspired by Luck Be a Landlord. I know that's a very complicated name, Luck Be a Landlord, games being called a Luck Be a Landlord-like. But the basic premise is that in Luck Be a Landlord, you're a tenant, and you have to pay your rent, but you have a slot machine that you can use to make money. And you're basically building a set, like kind of like a deck builder, you're building a set of icons in your slot machine. Certain icons interact with each other. Certain things react in certain ways. And you do a set, so you do like 7 spins. And then at the end of 7 spins, you have to pay your rent. And so when you start off the game, you start off with like 4 basic items, or maybe it's 5. And then after like 5 spins, you have to pay your rent. Then after each spin, you get to add a new item, or you can choose to skip. And after 5 spins, you pay your $25 rent, and then your rent goes up. You get another set of 5 spins, and your rent goes up, but you also get new items, new stuff comes up the farther you get into the game. You get more likely to see rare and uncommon cards. You get more synergies in your slot machine on the basis that you have more slots. It takes elements from deck builders, but there's this element of progression, because every time you have to spin, you have to make more money. So right, on the first go, you have to make $25 minimum. On the second go, you have to make 50. On the third go, 75. On the fourth go, 100. Then 150. Then 225. Then 300. Then 375. Eventually building up until you have to make 777. And I feel like I've seen a lot of games come out this year that are like this. Obviously Balatro takes influence from this. There was a game called Ballionaire that was basically the same premise but with a pachinko board, where you're like dropping a peg from the bottom and it's like going through. There was that one. There was like a farming one that this was all during the Steam Next Fest, where you could try out a bunch of game demos. I feel like Luck Be a Landlord right now is a very influential game, right? Where you're just basically going through phases, making money or something like money, it could be crops, could be anything else. And then you're having to pay rent, pay some sort of bill, and the bill goes up until, you complete a certain number of cycles, and if you successfully make the last cycle, you win. That's the basic premise. I'm definitely not explaining it as well as I could be. But right, like your slot machine has like synergies. So like one of the items you start off with is your slot machine starts off with a cat. And if you get milk, right, like when you get it after each spin, you can get a new item. If you get milk, if the cat and the milk end up next to each other, the cat will consume the milk and give you extra money. So like normally the cat gives you 1 penny every time it shows up in the slots. But if it ends up next to the milk, it'll give an extra like 10 cents. There's you can get like keys, and the keys can open safes, and the safes can have like $30 inside of them. There are certain, like there's a dwarf, and the dwarfs will drink wine and beers, and they'll give you like 30 coins if you drink a wine or a beer. There's a thief, and every turn the thief takes money. But if you can get like a bounty hunter to kill the thief, if a bounty hunter lands next to a thief, all the money the thief has taken, you get back, and it gets, like, doubled or tripled. So, like, there's a big strategy there. I've been playing it basically all week. I picked it up earlier in the week. I've been playing it on my phone. This is a game that is available on, I think, Steam. Of course, Steam, so that's Mac, iOS, Android, and Windows. So it's basically available on that, but I've been playing it on the phone. And, yeah, it's good. It's addicting. My only successful run so far has come from spades. From the suits. So there are spades, clubs, diamonds, and hearts. And when you get them next to each other, you get bonuses, right? So, like, for every spade you get next to adjacent to each one, you get, like, a bonus. And I think it works in black and red suits. There's jokers, there's wild cards, all of which can build up bonuses. And I was building up some crazy bonuses. And I had had some runs that were close, but then at the 11th hour, they all got bungled up, and I'm not entirely sure. Like, I didn't really because there's a certain risk versus reward in these games where you want to, add cards to your deck to, so that way every time you spin the machine, you have a chance of getting this stuff. But you don't want to add so many that you're only getting, like, bad stuff. Like, there is an incentive to skip your turn. Like if you pull a slot machine and it's only giving you, like, coins and chicken eggs and, pearls. Like, you don't want some of that basic stuff. You want stuff that makes money. So there's certain incentives to skip your turns. You can delete items from your deck. Because there can only be 23 symbols out on the slot machine at any one given time. It might be 24, actually. 23 sounds like less than it should. But, right, you can only have it actually might be 23. You can only have so many symbols on your slot machine at once. So there's an incentive to, not fill up your slot machine with a bunch. Or, of course, what I did, I just filled mine up with spades, clubs, diamonds, and hearts. So that way, basically, every turn, I was stacking a bunch of these. And they were building up where I was getting, like, $100 a turn. It wasn't anything crazy. And, yeah, I definitely, I've tried the similar strategy in the past and failed. So sometimes it's just the luck of the draw. I've had some good runs with, like, bounty hunters and thieves. There's a Robin Hood that I think is very good, but it has to be gotten under extremely specific circumstances. Because there are these billionaire cards that the billionaires, like, they don't give you any money. They enhance wine and cheese. They're actually not that great. But if you can get a card that kills billionaires, it's like 50 coins for every dead billionaire. Because it is an anti-capitalist game, obviously. So that's the incentive to try to do those guys. And, like, that was probably my second best run, is just, like, using Robin Hood to kill billionaires. But once I ran out of billionaires, I just wasn't making as much money as I needed to. And so that run actually ended in failure. So after I had my first ever successful run yesterday, on Thanksgiving, I had my first ever successful run. I unlocked floor 2, which has, like, different modifiers and whatnot, and I've yet to even got close to a successful run on floor 2. It's just not giving me the cards I need. It's been giving me some new ones. Like, I was trying to mess around with, like, using Midas, and then having a coin, because Midas, there are these, like, coin gremlins that fill your deck with, like, pointless coins. So I was trying to use Midas, the coin gremlins, and then, like, there's a coin multiplier that makes coins worth, like, 3 times as much. And I was really trying to stack all this stuff up to just make, like, a coin-heavy deck that was giving me, like, that, like, had the potential. There was also, there's one other card that works in tandem with coins. I don't remember which one. But, like, it had the possibility where each coin could give you, like, 9 cents per coin, which isn't bad at all. And I had that run going for a while, and that one failed. There's a fruit lady who eats all your fruit, and I had her, every time I spun her, it was giving me, like, plus 13. there are these negative cards that have, like, risks, like they can steal your money, they can make another card not activate, they can hex you. And I think some of these have potentials to be very powerful, but so far I haven't had much. I've had some okay luck with them, but I've also just had extremely bad luck and gotten screwed over by them. So it is a very interesting game. I would definitely, like, especially if you've played Balatro, this is addicting. I do probably recommend this if you have not played this. I think it's on sale on Steam right now for like $5, which is I've easily gotten $5 out of it, because I think that's what I paid for it on the Android store. Is I paid like $5. So if you want to give, if you've been playing Balatro on mobile and want to give that a break, but want something similar, hey, here's a recommendation for you. If you've never heard of it. Again, I have only heard of it because it was the game that, in part inspired Balatro. Like, I'm pretty sure if you go on Luck Be a Landlord's Steam page, that's one of the first things it says down below. So yeah, that's what I've been playing. I do need to play more Balatro. Before the Game Awards in like 2 weeks, I'm going to put some more time into Balatro. Promise you that. But so far, I've got like nothing. I've been doing other things this week. And having this mobile game, while I've been doing all this Thanksgiving stuff, that I could easily just pop in, do a run, keep going. Yeah. It's good. And I think the mobile port is fine. I don't know entirely how much... So, normally I have it playing on the vertical view. Like how you normally hold a phone. Vertical up. And the text is very small on the vertical view. And there's all these options to change the text color. But at no point do I see a place where I can increase text size. It might be there. I might have just completely missed it. But I'm honestly surprised you can't increase text size. Of course, you can flip it, make it horizontal, and it balances out a little better. But yeah, in vertical showings, the text is kind of small. And they give you, like, hints and whatnot. And I don't know if the hints are, like, actually good hints. Because, like, some of them are, like, you can pet the dog. Did you know the ninja and the mouse are actually a reference to the developer's previous game? It's stuff like that. Like, it's not actually anything like that super helpful. I'm sure there's tons of videos on YouTube. Like, I can almost guarantee you the Spiffing Brit has made a video on, like, how to make $1 million in Luck Be a Landlord. I can almost guarantee you beyond a reasonable doubt that video exists. But yeah, no, so far I've been enjoying it. It is good. Is it better than Balatro? Let's save that for Game of the Year, shall we? Let's save that one for Game of the Year. I'd recommend them both, obviously. And I should say this game came out last year. It came out in, like, June last year. Which, it's been in development for longer than that. Like, I'm pretty sure it's been in development for, like, 3 or 4 years now. But it only actually came out in, like, full release last year. But yeah, no, it's good. So that's it. That's really the only game I've been playing. I've been playing a mobile game. Guess what? It's addicting, sue me. So let's talk about movies. I have not watched any TV. I haven't watched Arcane. I haven't watched anything else pertinent to television. And no, nothing of the sort. I feel like there was something I was supposed to watch. I just don't remember. What was I supposed to watch? Other than Arcane. I know there was a new Hell of the Boss episode that came out today that everyone's freaking the fuck out about. I still haven't seen season 2. So yeah, I'm in no place to, do anything about that. What was it? I swear there was one other thing. Not that new. I know there's a new Ted Danson show that I do want to watch, but that's just because I'm such a big fan of The Good Place. And as far as I know, it's basically the same people that worked on The Good Place, including, of course, Ted Danson. I'll get around to it. So, the one movie I did see, I saw Moana 2. I'll be honest, I didn't expect much. I knew going into this that, hey, this was originally a TV show that Disney scrapped earlier in the year and basically reworked it into a movie. Is that what we got? Yeah, basically. I expected nothing from this movie, and did I get more than nothing? Technically, but not in a good way. Like, you know, there's a saying that I am a believer in, that the only thing worse than being bad is being boring. And you could argue that's Moana too. It's not bad, it's just kind of boring. It's basically the first movie again, but worse. You know, they're hitting everything beat for beat, but the story just isn't as compelling. The animation isn't as good. I don't think it's terrible, by the way. Like, I don't think the animation is terrible. It's just not as good. You know, the water doesn't look as good as I've seen people say. Shit for us. But this movie, in a lot of ways, feels like one of those direct-to-DVD, direct-to-VHS Disney movies that Disney made in the 90s and early 2000s. Right? Disney released a bunch of these direct-to-DVD movies, direct-to-VHS. You know, stuff like Hunchback of Notre Dame 2, Lion King 2, Lion King 2.5, The Little Mermaid 2, Aladdin 2, Aladdin 3, Atlantis 2, Mulan 2, which is probably the worst one. You know, Disney made a lot of these direct-to-DVD sequels. Like, it's been a joke for a long time now. Right? Like, I think there's a Family Guy clip that's Aladdin 4, Jafar Needs Glasses. That, like, yeah, that's kind of it. That's kind of what these direct-to-DVD sequels felt like for a long time. Not that I'm saying all of them are terrible. I genuinely stand by Cinderella 3 as an entertaining movie. Like, am I going to defend it as much as, like, the original? No, not at all. But I was thoroughly, as a kid, I was thoroughly entertained from beginning to end. You know, all the time travel, you know, the wicked stepmother stealing the fairy's wand. Oh my gosh, some of that stuff is so entertaining. The whole evil pumpkin ride at the end of the day, at the end of the movie. Yeah, that movie is super entertaining. Is it good? I mean, it's probably one of the best direct-to-DVD sequels. But yeah, this is another one of the direct-to-DVD sequels. Because for a while, Disney didn't really make the direct-to-DVD sequels. Like, I know you could argue Frozen 2 was a direct-to-DVD sequel, and yeah, totally. But, like, for a long time, it really felt like they were doing, you know, TV shows. I know, I think the first thing I think of is Lilo and Stitch, but Lilo and Stitch both got a direct-to-DVD movie and an actual sequel and a TV show that I loved as a kid, because it was both basically just Pokemon. And man, did I love Pokemon. So the Lilo and Stitch show was totally up my alley. But yeah, you know, there was like The Emperor's New School, which was, you know, an Emperor's New Groove TV show. There was the Tangled TV show that I've actually heard is, like, pretty decent, and I maybe should check out one of these days. I'm sure there are other examples of other things. But yeah, for the most part, this is a Disney practice that they don't really do all that often anymore. I feel like it's kind of been supplanted with other things, and yeah. And, you know, originally that's what this was supposed to be. This was supposed to be a direct-to, you know, Disney, instead of direct-to-DVD, it was direct-to-Disney Plus. That's what this was originally supposed to be. But I guess the Disney Plus show had problems, and they were just like, you know what, let's just make it an actual movie. Of course, they're also doing a live-action remake of Moana that is currently filming, and it looks just about as bad as you'd expect, you know. So yeah, I had no high hopes for this. Seeing it, it's nothing. It's the first movie again. Oh, look, Moana's got to go out on her quest. Oh, she's gotta go find Maui. Oh, she's gotta go fight a big evil monster. You know, the only difference is that the music is not as good in this one. Honestly, I know people are kind of sick of Lin-Manuel Miranda. We kind of got oversaturated with Lin-Manuel Miranda, and now people are kind of like, oh, I don't want to deal with him. Yeah, I'll take Lin-Manuel Miranda any day of the week over the wannabe they got here, who tries to copy what he does, doesn't even get close. I mean, it's not as bad as, like, Wish. Like, because Wish had super forgettable, super boring music. But I also can't remember a single song from this one either. Like, I couldn't tell you a single song from Wish. The only line I could tell you is I'm pretty sure it's like, I'll make this wish come true. That's a line in one of the songs. At least I remember that there's a song called This Is the Thanks I'll Get. I could not tell you a single line, a single melody from this entire movie. Because everything just gets supplanted with the first movie. I try to think of any song from this one, and I just think of How Far I'll Go. I just think of Shiny. I just think of, you know, even though it's not perfect, You're Welcome. Right? Like, this movie all has poor imitations of these songs. And it just kind of... It sucks. Honestly, I'm not going to say the music is the worst part of this movie, but honestly, it's just not memorable. It's for something that had such great music in the first one, that really did knock it out of the park. This one, just nothing. Just fucking nothing. So basically, this is one of those sequels where the characters you know how they spent the first movie learning their lesson, and so, you know, you always hope that, hey, in the sequel, they're gonna learn a new lesson. They're gonna evolve. They're gonna grow. You know, like one of the best sequels of all time, Kung Fu Panda 2, where, you know, Po has learned that he's a Kung Fu master, so now he has to learn Inner Peace. And, you know, as a character, he grows, he evolves, he deals with his childhood trauma. No, in this movie, I mean, we're not set back to square one. Like, she doesn't have to completely relearn her lessons, but she is, you know, you would think, like, okay, in this movie, she's got a crew. In the first one, she was all on her own. So in this one, it would be her struggle with leadership. That she doesn't believe herself to be a leader of her people, and that's her struggle. No, she gets the leadership thing figured out in a song, and then, you know, after some of them almost die, she has, like, a moment where she doubts herself in the first movie, where she doubts herself, and she throws the Heart of the Ocean back. And this one, you know, she doubts herself and gives her crew a chance to, you know, abandon ship. But at the end of the day, of course, they stick with her after Maui sings a motivational song, which I cannot remember a single thing about. I could not remember a single line, a single lyric. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson still cannot sing to save his life. So, yeah, I was not at all impressed. You know, at least in the first movie, you know, you have you have the big evil lava monster. And I think the movie actually has a pretty good twist when you find out that, no, instead of having to return the heart to, you know, the island, she has to take it to the lava monster. Because the lava monster is the, you know, glowing goddess and whatnot. I think that's a really good twist. I rewatched Moana like a month ago. I still think it plays very well. And this one, you don't even have that. Like, yeah, she's fighting an evil thunder god, but the thunder god is just so underwhelming. Yes, are the stakes raised? I guess? But it's just not as interesting. It's just a lesser comparison of the first movie. Again, it's not bad. It's just underwhelming. And there's 1,000 things I would recommend before this. I'd recommend taking your kids to see Wicked before I do this. As far as I know, Wild Robot's still playing in theaters. Oh my god, Wild Robot is so much better than this movie. Oh my god. Yeah, no, go take your kids to see The Wild Robot. And then read them the book. The book is also great. No, this is just another one of the direct-to-DVD Disney sequels. The only difference is this one actually got released in theaters. Which I feel like, you know, with Disney's inflating budgets and everything, that's something that's just more and more common. Again, Frozen 2... Admittedly, I liked Frozen 2 better than I did Moana 2. Like, I felt like Frozen 2 at least had more going for it. Was it perfect? Oh, God, no. I'm still not entirely sure how I feel about that movie. But I at least... I can actually remember 2 of the songs from Frozen 2. I remember Into the Unknown and Next Right Thing. Oh, Lost in the Woods as well. The rock opera ballad. Yeah, I remember Lost in the Woods. Did it fit the movie at all? No, not really. But it was fun. Meanwhile, I couldn't tell you shit about this one. My biggest disappointment. So, okay, spoilers, like you care. So, at the beginning of the movie, early on anyways, Maui gets captured by a bat demigod. I think it's a bat demigod. Let's just go with demigod, right? This bat demigod captures Maui, and is like, oh, this time you're taking on the thunder god, right? You're not dealing with another demigod. You're dealing with an actual god this time. And it's like, oh, right, and like they're the henchmen to this bat god. So eventually, of course, Moana runs into this bat demigod, who I, in theory, like the idea of. She's got a very, like, I like her animation. She's got a lot of energy to it. I'm not going to say it's as good as, like, something like Eris from the Sinbad movie. But, you know, it's at least trying to do, like, it's trying to have a lot of movement, a lot of energy. And I think that's kind of interesting. But it's also kind of trying to be your, like, shiny moment. Like, that's clearly this movie's, like, shiny moment. But the song just isn't nearly as good. It isn't nearly as memorable. And of course you get the twist reveal that, hey, guess what? This bat goddess, bat demigod, whatever, is actually a good guy. That the whole reason they captured Maui was to, you know, keep Maui here so that way he could eventually meet up with Moana, right? Like, everything was intentional. And that even though the bat demigod technically works for the thunder god, she's betraying him. And that, hey, you know, she eventually tells Moana, hey, you need to learn the lesson that you can't always take the easy road. You know, you can't always, you know, plan a path. Sometimes you have to find another way. Like, that's the whole point of her song. And yeah, it does come back in the climax, because they create this plan, and then the plan doesn't work. In a moment that's super underwhelming, that's super undercut. Like, you know, in the first Moana, right, Dwayne Johnson, his hook gets destroyed, and it's supposed to be like this big deal, like, oh, he got his hook destroyed, but don't worry, you know, the island goddess will just make him another one. Yeah, they basically do the same thing in this movie, but it's worse. Yeah. But yeah, so I get to the end of so you get this back, and Moana tells the bat goddess tells Moana that, hey, if she, you know, defeats the thunder god guy, if she is able to reconnect the islands, then she will be freed of her prison. And I was like, okay, you know, that's okay. I guess that's a thing. And then I get to the end of the movie, and I'm like, oh, are we going to see what happens to her? Like, is she going to come back? No, I feel like the end of the movie just kind of forgets about her. And then in the post-credit scene, because of course there's a post-credit scene, there she comes back. And it's like, hey, surprise, surprise, the Thunder God, right, they didn't actually defeat him. Sure, they broke his curse, but he's not, like, dead or anything. He's just gonna come back and be the villain of the next one. Like, you know, there's this element of, like, hey, I see how this was a TV show, and this was just, if this was, like, a 6-episode TV show, this movie is the first 3 episodes, setting up this Thunder God guy, and now they're gonna make a Moana 3 that is just dealing with this guy again. And it's like, that's so boring. Like, I want to see other things, you know? I want them to go to Hawaii. I want them to deal with, like, Pele and shit like that, you know? Have fun with it. But now we're stuck with this Thunder God, who I just don't care about. Like, at least the Bat one's a little bit more interesting. And it would have been nice to see, like, yeah, you know, she's free of the Thunder God. And, oh, if they're going to do a third one, you know, they're going to introduce a new villain or something. But nope, they're not going to do that. So I was underwhelmed. I mean, was I whelmed? Let's just say I was underwhelmed. I was not at all impressed with Moana 2. Again, there are so many better things you can take your kids to see. Again, Wicked. Oh my god, Wicked is so much better. You know, we need a new generation of theater kids. They don't just spontaneously pop out of the ether. They have to come from somewheres. And Wicked is the type of movie that I could see launching 1,000 ships. You know, where else are the new theater kids that are going to write actual good music for Disney movies going to come from? They're not going to come from Moana 2. They're going to come from something like Wicked. Correction, Wicked has been around long enough that an entire generation has already been inspired by Wicked. So, I'm actually... no, they're going to get inspired by other stuff. I don't know, what's currently on... I don't even, you know, like, usually, like, the Macy's Day, Thanksgiving Day Parade usually features, like, the new musicals on Broadway. I didn't see anybody talking about anything this year. Like, at least, I know the Back to the Future thing wasn't good, but at least I heard people talking about it. I at least knew that Bad Cinderella existed. I heard nothing about nothing this year. Literally, the only thing I've heard of, like, new musical-wise, is Lin-Manuel Miranda's Warriors, which came out last month. Because that's why he didn't do Moana 2. He was working on this Warriors project, which I've actually heard is pretty good, and I was going to listen to... I had a road trip a while ago, and I was going to listen to it on my road trip, and I just got distracted by other stuff. Other podcasts. So that didn't happen. Yeah, super underwhelmed. But if you're gonna see it, I already... Again, Moana is the most streamed movie of 2023. I know that's a lot of kids just watching it over and over again. You know, parents putting it on for their kids on repeat. This movie's still gonna do really well, sadly. Like, that's... You know, and Disney's gonna cancel another fucking Jack and the Beanstalk thing. And, you know, they're gonna make Zootopia 2. Another fucking direct-to-DVD sequel that's not direct-to-DVD. I mean, sequels have their place, but I just feel like Disney historically, when it comes to making sequels to their animated movies, doesn't have a good track record. Pixar doesn't really either, with one exception. Pixar's got the two Toy Stories 2 and 3, and other than that, they don't really have a good track record either. DreamWorks, on the other hand, oh no, DreamWorks is great at sequels. Shrek 2 is the best Shrek movie. Kung Fu Panda 2 is the best Kung Fu Panda movie. How to Train Your Dragon 2, is it the best How to Train Your Dragon movie? It might be. I actually don't really know how to speak about that one. Same thing with Madagascar 2. I actually don't know where I stand on that one either. It's been so long. I don't think I ever saw Madagascar 3. But yeah, DreamWorks, on the other hand, has a great track record. DreamWorks has done some great stuff over the years. Oh man, again, Kung Fu Panda 2 is the bar at which I judge all sequels. Kung Fu Panda 2 is so good that, right, there are only a handful of sequels that live up to it. And it's gotta be, you know, some of the best stuff. Like, you know, The Godfather 2, Paddington 2, Third Example. That's funny. Alright, I guess that takes us to our outro. Like I said, it was gonna be a short show tonight. Just because we've been 2 hours on everything else. I should actually update my thingy. That was what? Run speed? We got some run speed chunks. Ooh. Oh, we're gonna get... Let's just put it there and see what happens. Not like we're getting any... I think I looked it up one time, and it's like the next silver ticket is like 90 away. Okay, I think it was 80, but still. So what's coming up here in the future? Oh my gosh. So, I know the one thing is the Game Awards. The Game Awards are on the 12th, I think? I know, I feel like I forget this every time. I think the Game Awards are in 2 weeks on a Thursday. They're usually on a Thursday. So, we got the Game Awards coming up. And, yeah, I do plan... at the moment, I have an idea to stream those. I've seen people being so sick of this press Y to pet thing. It's so dumb. But yeah, so at the moment, that's the one plan. That's in 2 weeks. Other than that, I don't really have anything else planned. I mean, we'll continue streaming Splatoon, you know. Nothing new there. I don't think I have... I should check my shop stickers to see if I'm missing one. As far as I know, the only one I'm missing is hats. But I guess there's no reason not to check. I think like, we got the Game Awards, and then it just becomes a news drought. Right? December and after the Game Awards, up until, like, the first presentation of January, are usually news droughts. So I don't expect to have anything planned. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a Splatfest coming. Okay, we've got all three of these. We've got all three of those. And then I'm missing one of the hat ones. Okay, that's good to know. I always forget. But yeah, you know, we'll be doing game of the year at the end of the year. What does the actual next month look like? We're either going to do Game of the Year on the 27th or the 3rd. I don't actually know at the moment. Usually I try to do it right after the new year. So usually I'll do it on the 3rd. But I think in the past few years, the new year has landed on either that Friday or that Saturday. So we haven't actually had to worry about it. But usually I wait until after the new year. Like, I think the last time we did it post New Year, it was on like the 1st or the 2nd. I don't know. We'll see. I'll think about it. We got all of our amiibos. I did actually get. I have no plans on opening them on stream, but I did get the Koopa Troopa and Goomba amiibos. I didn't have those. And I was just like, you know what? Fuck it, why not? Because I have the Boo, I have the Waluigi. I was like, fuck it, I'll get the Koopa Troopa. Yeah, I can literally see it. It's still in the box, but I'm not going to unbox it on stream. That's entirely worthless. I don't even know what it does. I was just like, it's neat to have. I've got the Boo. And the Boo is... I think the Boo is one of the better amiibos because it glows in the dark. That's cool. I like shit like that. Yeah, I think that's all we've got this week. I haven't done anything else. I did watch a little anime, but... It's just another isekai. Ugh, it's not even worth really talking about. So, I think that's where we're gonna end off for tonight. Oh god. Maybe I'll have more stuff to talk about, next week. Probably not. But you never know. I do need to watch Arcane, though. Got nothing on Black Friday. There were no good. There's never any good. Black Friday, again, it used to be like, oh yeah, you know, I remember getting a bunch of cheap stuff back in the day. There's never anything anymore. It's all just garbage. It's all just garbage that they intentionally mark up beforehand so that they can then sell at an artificial discount afterwards. Alright, that's what we're going to know for tonight. I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Till next time, peace.